All right. Yesterday we learned. Now we're learning Dvar Malchut. This is a speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1991, and there was a whole series of speeches that the Rebbe gave, basically in 2 years, 2 years, 3 years, that he spoke almost singularly about Moshiach, and in a very active state. I mean, to the point that it drove all the Hasidim crazy. And when the Rebbe had a stroke, so it was about 1.5 years that all of the Hasidim were all yelling out, "Long live the Rebbe, the King Moshiach! Melech HaMashiach L'olam V'ed. Long live the Rebbe, the King Moshiach, forever and ever." I mean, it was just obvious from all of these speeches that the Rebbe was the Mashiach, and he was pointing out that you got to be crazy about Mashiach, and that our craziness and our enthusiasm will be the vessel to accept the revelations of godliness and the big, incredible changes that there's going to be in the world, and especially in ourselves, when Mashiach comes. So we have to be really open, and our emotions have to be open, which means you have to be enthusiastic about Mashiach. So these were put together compiled in books which are called, originally they were pamphlets, called Dvar Malchut. And that's what we're learning now. So I was talking about, listen, in general, Judaism is a movement to bring Mashiach. That's the essence of what Judaism is. Judaism, the goal of Judaism is Mashiach. That's why the Rambam writes about Mashiach, the details right in the end of his book. And he writes a very interesting thing in his book. He writes 14 books packed with details about laws, and what's in the laws in the Holy Temple. I have to make this sacrifice, and how you bring it this place, and if you do this, it's wrong, and that it's wrong. Details and details within details and details. 14 books packed with all of the laws of the Torah and all the details of the Torah. And right in the end, the Rambam Maimonides says that Mashiach must come, and that he gives the qualifications of what Mashiach are, the details, the criteria for Mashiach. So it's very clear what we have to wait for. And then he says this very shocking statement. He says, a person that does not believe in Mashiach and wait for him to come is denying the whole Torah. In other words, if you don't believe in Mashiach, you just finished reading the 14 books, throw them in the garbage. You don't believe in the whole business. It's better that you just throw the whole thing away, because you're learning and you don't believe in it. You don't believe in the whole thing. Huh? It's like you just, the whole essence of what Judaism is and expressing Judaism, all these laws I just told you about what to do with your eyes and your nose and your mouth, and what to do with the Holy Temple and the sacrifices, and what to do on Shabbat and all the holidays. If you don't believe in Mashiach and wait for him to come, according to the criteria I gave you, the Maimonides says, throw all what I've just written, throw it away. Disregard it. Throw it away. That's shocking, if you ask me. And we should be, I think, as enthusiastic and as devoted to the idea of Mashiach. Now the Hasidic Chabad, they were certain the Rebbe was the Mashiach. There was no doubt about it. But if you want to say somebody else, that's okay, because the Gemara gives all sorts of different. It says that each school said our rabbi is the Mashiach. It's right in Sanhedrin. There's a whole thing in page 98 over there, 99. Talks about Mashiach. But the thing is, we have to be crazy about Moshiach. So everybody in Chabad were wild. When the Rebbe had a stroke, they thought any second the Rebbe is just going to get better, and this is just one of the stages, and that's it. When he didn't get better, so things changed, which I tell you the honest truth, I don't know why they changed. I've been thinking about it for 30 years. I can't get it. I honestly speaking, I can't get a positive reason why it changed, except according to human nature. Different people have different natures, and you have to respect their opinions, which I do. But I just can't, I just don't understand. I just can't identify with these people that say that, that the Rebbe is definitely not the Mashiach. You can't. Okay, listen, they're wonderful people, and they have and they're not going against the Torah, and they're not saying we don't believe in Mashiach at all, and they know what it says in the Rambam. and they know what it is. But I just, the lack of enthusiasm and the enthusiasm and they're cooling down this whole fervor about Mashiach. That's not my nature. That's that's not the conclusion I come to. Okay, so now what the Rebbe is saying, let's start this thing little by little. The Rebbe is saying that first of all, the Maimonides says that Mashiach is going to be a prophet. And he's going to be a prophet like Moses. Some people say it means like Moses, that it'll be more than Moses. Some people say less than Moses. And he's going to be a prophet. So the Rebbe said there already is a prophet. And it's a commandment in the Torah that there must be a prophet. And it's one of the 13 principles I misspoke. It's one of the 13 principles of faith that there must be a prophet. There must be a prophet. God gives prophecy to people. It's one of the 13 principles of faith. And the Rebbe said it's true that prophecy did it took a little break. It says Pascha when the second temple was destroyed. But nowadays we see that there's prophets. The Rebbe is going to go into this. See that there's prophets. So the Rebbe said one of the obvious prophets that there is the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. I think we got a picture. I'll make a picture. It's worthwhile to see a picture of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Why does it do this? Here we go. Yeah. There we go. Here we go. Picture. Oh, that's a nice picture. Look at this. Picture of the previous Rebbe. Ooh, whoever did that's pretty nice. Picture of the previous Rebbe. But here we have photos. Oh, we are. All right, we can suffice with that. That's pretty accurate. Pretty beautiful, actually. Picture of the previous Rebbe. Okay. I don't know if it captures his whole essence. Maybe, yeah, could be. Okay. Anyway, that's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Here we are. No, that's not what I want. Definitely not. And where were we now? There we go. Oh, it says, according to what we said before, Yuvan, we can understand Chidush, the novelty of the last generations in general, and especially our generation, and especially in our time. Just see that I'm really recording over here. Yes, I am. Okay. And now that according to the announcement that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe made, and the Rebbe always stressed that he's just filling the place of the previous Rebbe, the previous Rebbe said everything is already finished. And all the signs about the redemption and the Moshiach, they've already been completed. And we have to say that we are in the last moments before the total redemption. Now, the total redemption is, the sign of it is that all of our enemies are destroyed or done away with, and the third temple comes from heaven. And then Moshiach gathers all the Jews together. He's already convinced all the Jews to be waiting for such a thing. And when it happens, that's one of the main things of Mashiach is to bring Mashiach. So says the Rebbe, everything is ready for the final stage. Mashiach is already here. The redemption, the exile is already, and it's last gasping death throes, and everything is ready in 1 second for the total redemption. All of our enemies are finished, and the third temple comes from heaven, and all the Jews come to Israel. And that's the goal. Any second. It says, but we have to expect it. That's the thing. We have to. Everything depends on us. It says in the Tanya, in the 37th chapter, that the whole redemption depends on us. Why it depends on us? God's going to do it all, but everything depends on us. That's what God made man for. If for no other reason, it depends on us to accept it, right? You have a poor person on the street. You want to give him, $1 billion. He doesn't know what to do with it. So, all he wants is just to drink a bottle of vodka or something like this. You can't make him rich. You got all the money. You're trying to, but he just doesn't want to accept it. We have to want to accept that God is trying to give us the redemption, but it's just we're not open to accept it. From the time that the Torah commanded shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sharecha, that judges and policemen you have to put in all of your gates, in the course of the generations from then, especially the generations before when we were in exile, since shelo zachu, that we did not merit to have the total redemption, and it didn't come then. We see, obviously, it didn't. There was a Holocaust. It was, and so this is a proof that we have not finished all the work we have to do. There must be some little trace of our past sins and mistakes, like it says, because of our sins we were exiled from our land, that because of this concealment, we have not yet completed the work of shoftayach, of your judges and your advisors. And therefore, the hayu zukukim l'shotrim, that they had to have also policemen to force people to do what was told. But after we have worked so hard, my son of Avodatenu, in our deeds and our work in the course of so many generations, so now it's understandable that we are coming closer and closer to the situation where we will not need policemen. And like I said before, maybe a forerunner of this is those people that say, defund the police, right? Even though that just brought total disaster, but just the whole ridiculous idea, maybe it's just echoing the fact that there will be a time when and that time is right now, approaching any instant, that really police won't be necessary. People will be connected to God, which God is life and family and happiness and meaning and love and productivity and genius and happiness. So therefore, the Arizal said about 400 years ago that it is a mitzvah that we must. It is a mitzvah. It is a commandment. It's an obligation. That we must reveal these ideas of Kabbalah, and that's what Chassidut does in the time of the Arizal. And afterwards, Yefutzu Ma'anetech Chutza. Then 100 years after the Arizal came the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov received directly from Moshiach a command that you have to spread out the teachings of Chassidut. That is Kabbalah in an acceptable, digestible form, by means of the Rebbes of Chabad, and by means of them, there will come back prophecy to the Jewish people, like the Rambam said. He said in his letters to Taman, "His Golas Sodo Shel Avadav Nevi'im." God reveals His secrets to His servants, the prophets. Hainam Nevi'ei Dorei. This is the prophets of our generation. Who are the prophets of our generation? It says Navi Bekirbecha Kamoni. Like Moses said, every generation there's going to be prophets like me, because the prophets and the wise men of every generation, they are espeshtusha the Moshe. They are the branch of Moses in every single generation. They are the Moses, the representatives of Moses in every generation. These are the judges and the advisors in our generation. Whether saying that they're judges, we're talking about the Rebbes here, the Rebbes, especially the Rebbes of Chabad. Whether the Rebbes of Chabad, but really all great Torah leaders, they are the positive Torah leaders. They are this says they are the shoftim, they are the judges, they are the nesi'im. Here the Rebbe is talking about the leaders of Chabad. They are elevated, they are incomparably in a higher level of awareness of God than all the other people. That's what the prophets are. We said that they are the Nasim of Chabad, they are the Nevi'im, they are the prophets, they are the rabbis of Chabad, the leaders of Chabad, Rabbotenu, that they teach Torah to all the people, like a shofet, like the judge does. But they're also advisors. They give advice in Torah and fear of God, and even advice in physical things. That's the idea of a prophet. He gives advice in physical things. And we see how many examples there are about the Rebbe that he gave advice in physical things, right? Regular physical things. Should I buy a house? Should I not? And especially by means of the revelation of the Torah of Chassidut Chabad, when it's put into Chachma, Bin, and Dat, and understanding and awareness. So just to take another example, this is not unique to Chabad. There's the Baba Sali that were great Tzaddikim and the Sfaradim, the Sfardish Tzaddikim, that they did the same thing. There was the family of Abu Chatzira. There were others also, Pinto and all this in Morocco. And there was Chaim Tayyib, and that was from Tunisia, Tunis, right? And there was the Ben Ish Chai and the huge tzaddikim from Iraq. They were, and they the same thing. They could tell the future, and they could help people in physical things. Often Shazam moving that it's a way that it can be explained even in their natural day-to-day life, what's called the animal soul. Like it says, that the Torah realize that the Torah is giving us advice how to connect to God in everything we do. That's the idea of a prophet, to bring godliness into your day-to-day life, that it's accepted in seichel of a regesh adam. That's the aspect of a prophet, how a prophet is like an advisor. Al yadei gilui, by means of revelation of the inside of the Torah, the penimit Torah, the secrets of the Torah of Chabad. Ideas of soul, ideas of levels of godliness, and we can actually understand it in our mind in a way that that it actually inspires us, like we just finished learning. It inspires our emotions. It changes our character. That's the main thing of man, is his emotions. That by means of tasting and learning these ideas of Chassidut, it makes a gate and a beginning, like we said, that it actually is a start to revealing the inside of the Torah in the future. This is one of the main things of Moshiach, is the Torah. And by means of tasting the Torah and beginning now, and then the Jewish people and the whole world become a vessel to revealing the inside of the Torah that's going to be after by means of Moshiach. Like it says, that's what it means. The Torah is going to reveal a new Moshiach, namely the soul of everything that we do in Torah, every single sentence, every single word. We'll feel the godliness in every single word and every idea in the Torah, just like the wise men of the Talmud did. The Kol Zen, and this is added even more in our generation, when we have the completion of spreading out Judaism in all of the world. This is 30 years ago. Said the Rebbe, everywhere in the world there is now a Chabad house, in a way that it's understood in everyone's intellect. And the Rebbe was saying this also after the Iron Curtain fell. So it was possible to spread Judaism to Jews, wake up Jews. I mean, you can't believe it. The Rebbe once said that there could be more Jews in Russia than in the whole world put together, but they just don't know that they're Jews. Their mother didn't know she was Jewish. And now in Russia, there's people that are waking up suddenly, right? Older people that they never knew that they were Jewish, right? Suddenly their mother tells them, they find a picture of their parents, the father with tefillin on, the grandfather with tefillin, the great-grandfather with tefillin on. And this is found outside, that there's nothing outside of it. One of the stories I wrote this week that I sent out in the essay that I write every week is talking about a story like that, about a person that thought they were Jewish, and suddenly the Rebbe revealed, you're not. They thought that they were not Jewish. I'm sorry. They thought that they were Gentile, and they wondered should they convert or not. And the Rebbe said, you don't have to convert, you're a Jew. And the person went and asked his parents, and his parents said, we didn't want you to know. And also Targum Panimius Torah, the translation of Torah Chassidut with every different language, Russian, etc. Right? Someone just wrote me that he's translating the Torah and the Tanya into Chinese. Right? It's you, Paul. Al Yadei, by means of Kavod Kedushas, by means of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he began this whole thing of translating the ideas of Chassidut into different languages in a way that continues and more and more and more. In the last generations, that the Tanya was even printed in Braille. for blind people. So there's no one in the world that is not exposed or cannot learn or cannot internalize the ideas of Chassidut, the uniqueness of the Jews, the closeness of how close God is, how to love God, how to be in awe of God. How, according to the announcement we just said, that the previous Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, said that we've already finished everything we have to do, including all of the service of all the Rebbes, that they are the judges and the advisors up to this day. And our generation is a generation which is fitting and is a vessel to bring Moshiach. Just some small things are missing, whatever they are. Maybe just a little more patience, who knows? That we've already reached the time of Avshinu, Shivu Shiftenu, Shoftayach, Kavrishona, that we've already reached this time that was spoken about by Isaiah, that I have given your advisors like in the beginning, and I've given your advisors like in the start. And we've done this in its ultimate completion after we've already tasted, our rabbis have already spread it out to us. Excuse me, please. So therefore, our generation is ready. Says the Rebbe, from this it's understood what we can learn in this Shabbat, Parshat Shoftim, and our generation, in our time, in these last moments of exile. So there has to be, we have to fit ourselves into the service of God in the situation of exile. What do we have to do? That you have to advertise. Listen to what the Rebbe says. This is powerful. What's the conclusion? We have a prophet. There are prophets. The exile is already any second now. The whole thing is going to finish. The redemption is going to come. Says the Rebbe, I'm going to tell you what to do. You have to advertise by yourself and by all those people, anyone that you can reach, and that you have to accept on yourself. And you have to take it to yourself in a very powerful and assertive way, the teaching of Shoftayach Yotzayach. In our generation, who should we accept? The rabbis. Who is this rabbi that is the prophet of our generation? And generally, the leader of our generation, who is the leader of our generation, says the Rebbe, it's the previous Rebbe, right? But the Rebbe, you don't see the previous Rebbe. The Rebbe said, I am taking the place of the previous Rebbe. I'm just filling his place. So who is the leader of our generation, the judge of our generation, the advisor of our generation, the prophet of our generation? Who is it? The Rebbe is obviously saying himself. This is the commandment of the Torah. Like it says, Navi Akim Lahem, a prophet I will give to them among their brothers, just like you, Moses, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak to them everything that I command him. To him you should listen. Like the Maimonides makes a law, he decides, he, how do you say, concludes that if there's a person that has these qualities and has this wholesomeness, that it is necessary to be a prophet, and he shows all sorts of miracles, according to what we see in the course of his life, and his blessings are, excuse me, like we see the blessings which were given by the previous Rebbe, how they all came to be. So therefore, we do not believe in this prophet because of the signs that he does or the miracles that he does, but because it is a commandment that Moses commanded in the Torah, excuse me, that if a prophet that makes these signs and what he says comes true, that you must listen to them. That's what the Torah says. Of course, there's other criteria. The true prophet has to be a person that's complete in his knowledge of the Torah, in his personality, in his past. By means of this, he is saying things that are going to be in the world, and you should believe his words, like it was by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and even more. A prophet that is appointed by another prophet, right? if all the words of a prophet are true, and a prophet says, this man is a prophet, somebody else is a prophet, so that's, you have to believe his prophecy. Now, it's a very interesting thing by a prophet. The Rambam goes into it. The thing of a prophet, it says that by the non-Jews, they also have necromancers and soothsayers and astrologers and all these things, and they work. They work. All these things work. If they didn't, no one would go to them. But they don't work 100%. They don't work 100%. Whatever percent they do, 90%, whatever it is, right? They don't work. A prophet, a Jewish prophet, is always right. He's never wrong. Never wrong. Everything that he says is always 100% exact and right. So therefore, if one prophet, and the Rebbe said the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was a prophet, and if he appoints somebody else to be a prophet, which that's what the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe did to our Rebbe, like it is relevant to the leader of our generation. So this is continued to the generations which is after it by means of his pupils. So therefore, we have to say that this appointed new prophet is a prophet. And the one who he appoints, you don't have to test him. You have to listen to him immediately, even before he makes any sort of signs. Which, of course, the Rebbe made enough signs that we can say that, okay, he is tested, but it's forbidden to even think, doubt him, and to think about his prophecy. Maybe it's not the truth. Maybe I shouldn't do what he says. Like it says, Lo tanasu et Hashem Elokecha kasher nisisem b'ma'asah. It says, don't try to, defy God like you defied him in Masa, to doubt him and to make all sorts of trials. Let's see if this works. Since we know that this is a prophet, you should believe in him, everything that he says, and don't think negatively about it. Why? Because you have to believe what a prophet says, not because these are the words of a prophet, but because God appointed him. So therefore, we have a clear teaching. And what is the clear teaching? The clear teaching is that we have to advertise to everyone in our generation that God has merited, we have merited, that God did choose and he appointed a human being that has free will, a normal human being, not an angel, a human being that on his own, he is totally incomparable to anyone else in his generation. And he is the judge and the advisor and the prophet of the generation. Now, the Rebbe is obviously speaking about himself. Sheyora horaot, that he will give instructions and he will give advice. Instructions, that's like the judge does, and give advice like the advisor does, regarding to the service of every Jew and all of the people in this generation, in all matters of Torah and commandments, and especially regarding to your daily conduct, also in all of your ways and all of your deeds. So therefore, until the prophecy, the main prophecy is la'alter l'geula. That's what the previous Rebbe said. If we listen to what the Rebbe says, then immediately there will be the redemption. Immediately. Hine Moshiach bo. So together with this, listen, maybe we'll do this tomorrow. What do you say, huh? This is enough that I think we're going to do this tomorrow. We won't be able to finish to this. That's what we're going to take. We're going to take this tomorrow. Okay, so what do we learn? A very important thing. The Rebbe is saying that he's a great man. Everybody knows that. The Rebbe, you can look, the Rebbe had enemies, right? These enemies never quoted anything that the Rebbe said. Never. They read, I'm sure that they read the books that the Rebbe said, and they read everything looking for something wrong. They never found anything wrong. The Rebbe would go over what he said. We're talking about 40 books. He would go 40 books, more than that, right? But he would, the things that the Rebbe went over the second time, right? That the Rebbe went over, and he would put the sources for everything that he said one after the other, one after the other. He knew everything in his mind. Zohar and Midrash, all the different aspects of the Torah, books that nobody even ever heard of. He would bring little details from books. So the Rebbe was an amazing genius. There's not what to say. I couldn't. Okay, but that doesn't make a person a leader. We have Yerovam ben Nevat, also Lahavdil, like you don't say between Jews. He also knew everything, right? Everything. When we see the prophecies that the Rebbe made, and especially regarding the 6-day war, and nobody agreed with him, that Israel is the safest place and the war is going to end in a few days. Everybody, the biggest experts in war and everything, no one agreed with him. The Rebbe was the only one that said. In the Gulf War, the Rebbe said, don't worry about it. Nobody's even going to be hurt in the Gulf War. And that's what it was. The only people that were hurt by the anti-missile missiles, what are they called? The Patriot missiles. Or by the gas masks, but from fear. Right? The Rebbe said that the Iron Curtain is going to fall. He told people it was going to fall. No one believed him. It was impossible. It couldn't be. And suddenly, boop, the whole thing fell down. Amazing open prophecies that were written in the newspapers. I mean, that's why everyone in Chabad, it was clear, without any doubt, that the Rebbe is the Moshiach. The Rebbe is the prophet, and he's doing all these things. That's obvious. That's it. Right? It was obvious. So that's what the Rebbe says. Okay, after Gimel Tammuz, some people say things changed. I don't understand why they changed. So let's, we're learning classes here from me. You're learning from a person that says things did not change, Meshuga, that says that things did not change, even though it seems that obviously, it did. But things did not change. The Rebbe is still the Mashiach. In any case, the Rebbe is saying, we're not talking about Mashiach here. The Rebbe is saying we must announce that there is a prophet, and that the Rebbe is a prophet, and the previous Rebbe, he's a prophet, and he picked the Rebbe that he should be a prophet, and it's a prophet in our generations, and that we should understand this and learn what the Rebbe says. That's the whole point of the thing. Not just to put a picture up on your wall and say, this man is the Mashiach, but the idea is to listen, to learn what the Rebbe says, and to do what his teachings say. To learn about God, to understand God, to love God, to have awe of God, to understand as much Shema Yisrael, to understand as much as you can about God, and then to love every Jew and to spread Torah to everyone, and then the 7 Noahide commandments whenever you can to spread. These are all ideas of the Rebbe. They're not the ideas of the Rebbe. These are ideas of the Torah. Simple Torah ideas. The Rebbe didn't make up anything. Mashiach is a Torah idea, a prophet, and the Rebbe proved to us that a prophet in every generation, it's a Torah idea. It's not a Chabad idea. Chabad is just bringing it out, driving people crazy with it. But it's a Torah idea. In fact, it's the essence of the Torah. So therefore, it's necessary at least to think in yourself, in your mind, that this man that we're learning over here, this is not just the words of a very intelligent person, of a great genius and a gifted man, and he knows the whole Torah. These are the words of a person that's really our judge and our advisor and our prophet. But let's read the words before we reject what he says. Let's read what he says. Practical advice, practical Torah advice, nothing unusual. As we'll talk about more tomorrow. We'll continue this, God willing, on Shabbos. On Friday. Friday.